Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Ryan Morse. We saw those temperatures pretty warm today, but now we're just starting to get in on some of that severe weather. We've had a severe thunderstorm watch issued for most of our area, pretty much for areas north of Lake Winnebago. We're going to have to continue to watch those showers and storms developing in western Wisconsin and transitioning back into our region. But here's where that watch is. Again, pretty much north of Lake Winnebago is the trend for this. And we're going to continue to see those storms develop. You see in western Wisconsin, that's going to be the area right now is right around here is where some of those storms are. And we're going to continue to see them make their way east tonight. And we can expect some of these showers and storms first arriving in the Northwoods, I'd say around midnight, 1 a.m. The lakeshore is the last area that's going to get in on these storms a little bit later. But here's the setup we have going. We have a cold front built up pretty much across the duration of Minnesota. And those showers and storms are pretty much just firing right along that boundary. Saw some showers fly up ahead of it a little bit earlier on, but now most of us getting in on those warnings pretty much for the entire area. And as we zoom in, you can see we did have one tornado warning cell just east of Minneapolis. That continues to make its way eastward. But we're seeing some of these warnings fly up near Ironwood. And notice the cloud cover ahead of this. That's something we're also going to have to keep an eye on. You see these clouds up ahead of it. We're going to start to see those clouds start to build in overnight just ahead of it before those systems start to make their way into our region. But notice all the lightning with these systems. That's going to be the dangerous thing tonight. I think almost all of us pretty much hear thunder or lightning across the area, but lots of lightning currently in western Wisconsin, especially up in Ironwood, a lot of lightning there as well. But just taking a look at the storm systems themselves, a lot of heavy rain with these systems. You see, these are pretty much really heavy downpours, and these systems are moving relatively quickly. Most of these storms rolling in at about 40 miles an hour, and that is pretty quick. So we're going to see those systems continue to try to make their way into our region. As a rough setup, we'll go back there in a second, but as a rough setup, I'm going to pause it here and time it out a little bit better for you. As we see, take off the lightning off this, we're still a good distance away from most of these systems. A lot of them not having warnings yet, but I expect some warnings to be picked up. But as we track it out, I'd say we'll do this rough estimate here of where that heavier band of rain is, and we'll just drag it on to the east. These are moving about, I'd say, east-northeast at best. And we're going to see some storms develop to the south of these as well. So this is looking at radar, this isn't just the one main rain band. I know some people are looking at the radar right now and thinking, oh, it's just this one band off to the north. But actually, we're going to see some more storms develop to the south of this region. But here's the timeline on these systems. We're going to see it continue to make its way east. I say, again, according to this timeline of it, we see the system's in Wausau by 1:01 a.m. And again, that's when we start to get into our region, Iron Mountain as well. Rhinelander in this as well. But as I mentioned, this is the big thing that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I think storms, the trend with these systems, as we just loop it out, we'll go for the past, we'll say, 5-6 hours. Notice how we had these stronger initial bands just to the north, but a lot of rain developing off to the south as well. And the latest model trends have actually been hinting at some more storms developing to the south. The latest run of the HRRR is one of them. But this system will continue to make its way eastward. And we'll take a look at this is the RPM model, so not the HRRR model. But here's what I was thinking with this system as well. We'll see them start to approach the region at 1 a.m. I'd say the stronger storms off to the north. And then as we make our way just into the early morning hours, a lot of us are going to be waking up to some thunder and lightning, I'd say across a lot of the region. And some of these storms, again, could turn severe. Cannot rule out an isolated tornado as well with these systems. I think the primary threat, especially around the 2-3 a.m. hour, is going to be that heavy wind. Could see some possibilities of a hail in the region as well. I hope most of us stay safe tonight. I'd say also keep your Storm Team 5 weather app available. Could see a warn storm out of the system, and you want to stay up to date on that as well. But notice as we make our way pretty much throughout the day tomorrow, again, through the early morning hours, we pretty much clear out. The system's pretty much done right around breakfast. And then tomorrow, pretty much gorgeous. We're just going to see that cold front pass. It's a pretty weak front, so we won't see the heat and humidity we did see today, but we'll see temperatures once again climb into the mid-80s. I think Green Bay reaches 85 degrees with just some partly cloudy skies. And so here's the main threat I think we're going to have to take away from this system. It's not going to be the widespread tornado outbreak or whatever. It's going to be the damaging wind threat. I think these systems start to group together and we start to see some higher gusts. As the Storm Prediction Center, they actually noted that in that watch we saw earlier, that severe thunderstorm watch here, I'll just pull that up again. This is the damaging wind threat, but the watch is what I want to key in on because that's the area. So this is what the Storm Prediction Center said about the watch. They said that gusts are possible to up to 70 miles an hour for these areas listed in this counties pretty much. So that is really strong wind we could see from these systems. Again, that is pretty strong wind. That's enough to knock down some tree limbs and could turn into a dangerous situation. So definitely keep an eye on that. And we're going to also see the moderate threat of hail. The Storm Prediction Center and National Weather Service are also keying in on hail could potentially approach 2 inches in some areas, especially north. And I'd say the greatest threat from the system out of our area as a whole, I think, is going to be in the Northwoods. I'll be curious to see if we extend this severe thunderstorm watch to the south based on recent model guidance. Just because you're to the south, don't think you're out of the woods yet, because some of the recent model guidance has been keying in on some areas of thunderstorms to the south starting to develop a little bit stronger. So areas like Oshkosh, anywhere along Lake Winnebago, Manitowoc, Sheboygan, just because you're in this watch you're not in this watch does not mean you're out of the woods. I think there is a slight chance that this watch could be extended down here, but areas in the Northwoods, you're going to have to keep an eye on this overnight. Again, 1 a.m. is when I think this system starts to arrive, and here's the broad picture. We have that cold front. It's just going to continue to make its way eastward tonight. It's slowly starting to pick up some speed, and you can see those storms are just racing off to the east. So here, I'm just going to bring up the storm schedule. This is what I think generally we're looking at the storm schedule. Feel free to ask any questions or whatnot, but this is what I'm thinking. Storm schedule-wise, I think most stuff arrives around, we'll say midnight for areas west. I'm starting to think it's going to be closer to 1 a.m. for areas in the Northwoods. But here's the schedule. I think it wraps up pretty much by the breakfast hours. I anticipate that line of scattered storms to hold together. It's not going to be like this morning system that's weakening on its way through. And that's what we saw in the Northwoods this morning. That system up to the north, it was missing some of that energy out ahead of the front. This system will not fall apart just because it has that energy of the cold front riding it. And so the main threat is going to be the high wind with this system. I can't emphasize that enough. Could see some falling limbs from that. Hail also possible in some areas. Could see some areas get 2-inch size hail. That's pretty large. That's like the size of a golf ball. Pretty large, but system wraps up again around 7 a.m. And again, this is what I think the difference is from what we've seen in the other system. This system will have the energy that the system did not have this morning. That a lot of us in the Northwoods saw. I know a lot of people have told me, oh, we didn't get the system this morning. It dissolved as it got to our region. Well, the difference with this is it's riding a cold front. So that energy is not going to leave. The energy yesterday was a lot driven by the daytime heating and the sunrise pretty much through the morning. But look at all the energy. The energy is there. This is what we as meteorologists like to call convective available potential energy. And this energy drives those storm systems, and it's there for this system, and it's not going anywhere until that cold front passes through tomorrow morning. And as we look at the watch, again, I want to say for the watch, for areas south, you're not out of the woods yet. That's the big emphasis from that. And I'd say areas of Oshkosh, again, Manitowoc, got to keep an eye on this. We could see this watch extended. I'll keep an eye on that. I'll be tracking it throughout the night pretty much. And for areas west, again, the schedule on this, I think areas in the Northwoods pretty much start to see the system arrive midnight, 1 a.m. We'll go back and track it on radar. But the system will arrive. I think the big threat with this is, again, a lot of lightning. We're seeing that on radar already. In western Wisconsin, just tremendous amounts of lightning. I say we pause this right now and just see how much lightning. This is how many cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. So let's see. We'll go into this system right here and just highlight how many lightning strikes. That's 176 lightning strikes every 15 minutes right there. And that's just, again, over the last 15 minutes, that's a lot of lightning. And let me take a look, see if we have any questions. I hope everyone's staying safe tonight. How bad are the winds going to be, possibly? Again, it's going to set up where that stronger line sets up. So pretty much, it's going to be localized, but winds will be strong with this. Some areas up to 70 miles an hour. It's going to be a little bit windy ahead of these systems, but definitely stay safe in the overnight hours, especially if you're going out. I know some people probably heading out on their Saturday night, going to the bars. Just beware on your way out of the bars, potential chance for these systems pretty much arriving, especially for areas in the Northwoods. I'd say 1, 2 a.m., this is what we're going to have to watch. And we're already seeing some showers up in Rhinelander already approach the area, but a lot of lightning off to the west of this. And it's going to keep rolling eastward, as we're going to see on the tracker. I'll pull up the tracker again across our region. So let's highlight that. So we'll say from Eau Claire all the way up to pretty much Rhinelander. This is moving about, I'd say, just east-northeast, not straight east movement. But you see, there's a timeline for that. So in Iron Mountain by 2:30, Wausau in our viewing area by 1:37 a.m. And this is where we're going to see some of the stronger winds as well. But also I want to note, again, that for areas south, so let's just pull up just in southeastern Minnesota. So a lot of you are probably looking at radar right now and thinking, oh, there's not rain right here at all, and this system's just moving eastward. Oh, I should be out of the woods. Well, actually, we've been seeing over the last couple hours pretty much some storm systems just continue to develop along the cold front. The cold front's lined up pretty much right through northwestern Wisconsin, cutting through Minnesota. So these are the regions where we could see some of those storms start to develop off that front as well. So we'll have to see in the coming hours how much rain develops southwest of that rain band, the main rain band we have set up across the state right now. And that's going to be a key thing we're going to have to keep an eye on. Main threat with this is going to be the damaging wind. That's what the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has been emphasizing throughout the evening, especially in western Wisconsin. Right now, that's pretty much where we're seeing some of those damaging winds. We even had a tornado warning just east of Minneapolis a little bit earlier. That expired as well. I was looking through the reports, and they did confirm a tornado was on the ground in eastern Minneapolis. I don't think we'll see that much in terms of tornado warnings tonight. I'd say most of us just see a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings with this system. Another thing to keep an eye on, this is what we're looking at in rainfall totals overnight. We're going to see it's going to be hit or miss pretty much on where you see that heavier band. You see this one model saying the heavier band is going to go pretty much right through Oconto, about 1.5 inches, but that's not guaranteed. That could pretty much set up anywhere. And when you get one of these quick hit or miss or really strong showers, like heavy downpour around 2 inches, it's not out of the realm of possibility. A lot of areas, I'd say, generally get a 1/2 inch of rain. I think the localized sector could see above 1 inch. I think that's the main threat for that. And then once we wrap up the storms tonight, it's looking good over the next couple days. So there is some good news with this passing cold front. It's going to be nicer as we make our way through the end of the weekend. You see, storms will exit early tomorrow, 85 degrees, but then the cold front really starts to take hold. You see Monday, 78 degrees, a lot cooler, and that's going to feel nice considering how hot we got today. We saw temperatures in the 90s in some spots. Some areas even felt like it was 100 degrees. And I'm just going through some Facebook questions right now. Let's say Taylor's asking when will it come through in Marinette. So I think when I did that storm tracker, I'll pull it up again where it came through Marinette. I'll drag it all the way through Marinette. But if I recall, it was in Iron Mountain by 2:30. If that system does not warp at all on its way into the region, that's something you have to keep an eye on because it can distort itself and come a little later. But if the system completely holds together, for those asking in Marinette, let me just drag that storm tracker out once again So we'll pause it right there. Now a little bit further. But so Marinette, we'll see. So actually, Marinette could see some of these. This main rain band, I think, probably misses to the north, judging on radar right now. I'd say this rain band, this in-front rain band could nick parts of Marinette, but that is not what I'm worried about later. This is what we're going to look on for the storm tracker. So this is the heavier bands we're going to see further back here. That initial round of rain near Rhinelander isn't going to be what we're going to have to be worried about. So see Marinette's right about here in the storm tracker if this is moving pretty much east-northeast, which has been the general movement of that. So judging by that, see Mountain at 2:30. So if this system holds completely together and does not warp a little bit on its way, I know we will get rain in Marinette at some point, but judging by this storm tracker is saying, I guess, around in between 2:30 and 3 a.m. is where I'd look for areas in Marinette. And we'll see also some areas south, again, could start to develop, see some development down here. That could affect where we get these showers and storms here. But I'm thinking this storm system back here is not going to weaken on its way into our region. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'll put this in a loop right now. Take a look at some more Facebook Live questions. Let's see. So when it will be in Manitowoc. So Manitowoc is going to depend on how much southern convection we get in this. And that's why I was just pointing out. I'll pull that up in a quick second or two. Let's see. I don't mind thunder and lightning, but praying there are no tornadoes. True. I think no one wants to see a tornado out of this. But again, we did see a tornado in Minneapolis. Pretty much just east of Minneapolis, there was a tornado confirmed on the ground, so that is not out of the realm of possibility there. Again, I don't think the tornado threat is large for this system. I think that was pretty much stronger chance in Minnesota. Straight line winds is going to be the main threat with this. What else can we expect from these storms? I'd say I think the heavy downpour is probably a given with the stronger rain we're seeing on radar right now. Heavy downpour, I'd say hail. Again, the National Weather Service was emphasizing there's a chance some of these systems could produce hail of 2 inches, that it could damage a lot of vehicles if we see that, but that's an isolated risk of that. I'd say we generally just, the main threat is going to be the wind from this. Most of us just see heavy rain. And when can we expect to see this in the Green Bay area as well? I'd say, so here, I'll pull up the tracker once again on our radar, and we'll see, we'll try to guess it's, here, let me pause that, oops. It's not moving north, that was not the intention there. But we'll take off the lightning and track it pretty much through Green Bay. All right. So again, it's this initial system is going to pretty much affect the Northwoods. It's the southern convection that's going to affect Green Bay. So I'll put it up like it's moving the general storm direction, but the rain from Green Bay is going to come from down here pretty much. This is where it's going to develop, and it's going to move towards Green Bay. So judging by the system north and expected convection down here, I'd say moving across Wisconsin into the UP, we'll say pretty close to there. So again, I'd say 3 a.m. is a good bet for Green Bay as well. I think 3 a.m. is pretty much the timeline where most of us want to see it. We'll see the rain. And I'll pull up one of these futurecast models as well. So this is where I saw a jump in the last hour, which was pretty interesting. So I'll pull up, this is what we call the RPM model. And we have 2 different solutions pretty much coming from our high-res models right now. And this is the RPM model, which I think the National Weather Service is going with this as what's going to happen. Most of these storms pretty much in the area at 1 a.m. and then pretty much scattered across the region at 3 a.m. And this is a good idea of what we could see around then. And then pretty much through the morning hours, we pretty much just clear out, and we're just dealing with some lingering clouds. We clear out for tomorrow. But I'd say if we're talking about our region and in general, not just, I'd say the Northwoods, 1 a.m., keep an eye out. But I'd say Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh, the timeline to keep in mind, I'd say I'd say 2, 3, 4 a.m., that's going to be the hours you might wake up to some thunder and lightning around those hours. Here, I'll take another look at some Facebook questions. What about, Sarah wants to know, what about Door County having family camping? Again, that is worrisome. I'd say around, if we did that timeline out again, 2, 3 a.m. camping outside, I'd be wary. I'd definitely have your alerts turned on if you're camping, because it could develop into a dangerous situation with some of these isolated storms. So something to just keep an eye on. Just keep your phone ringer on. Put on, you could download our Storm Team 5 weather app and maybe see a warning from there. But camping, definitely keep an eye on if you're in the Northwoods or Door County today. And the severe thunderstorm watch is pretty much issued north of Lake Winnebago. That's pretty much our entire viewing area north is under this. Again, for areas, here I'll zoom back in, for areas Sheboygan, Manitowoc, Oshkosh, Watoma. So these are the areas I'm pretty much thinking no matter what, we're going to get rain. We're going to get rain no matter what, I think, up here. Just how big of a severe threat is it up here? And then as we make our way south, this is where some of the models have been hinting at now some more storms down here than originally thought. So I'll be curious to see, I'll be tracking in the coming hours to see if we get the watch extended pretty much down here through Oshkosh and Lake Winnebago and Manitowoc as well. But right now, we'll say this is a little bit less chance of thunderstorms than up through the Fox cities and into the Northwoods. So we'll keep an eye on that through the next hour or two. I'm sure that will be a changing situation. But I also want to mention, go over the convective available potential energy. So a lot of viewers have been reaching out and saying to me, oh, this is just going to be like the system this morning that passed to our north. And the reason why it's not is this system has the cold front energy. That system last night was pretty much dying across Wisconsin as is. And this storm energy is pretty much not going anywhere tonight. And that's what's not going to allow those storms to dissolve like they did this morning. And we'll go back and track a little bit more on National Weather Service radar. And for those weather geeks out there, I don't know if you've been tracking today, but the interesting note, the National Weather Service radar in Green Bay went out earlier today. So thank God that's back online, because otherwise we would have been relying pretty much on the radar in western Wisconsin and down in Milwaukee to track these storms today. And as you know, if you don't have radar online, you can't get some of these low-level looks into what's really happening in these storms. So definitely a blessing that we got the National Weather Service radar back online in Green Bay, because the National Weather Service radar in Marquette in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is offline as well. So it's a good thing we have this radar. You can see also to the north where Marquette, Michigan is, how the radar's a little flunky up there, and that's because that is the radar's out up there. But all right, we'll go back in and track some of these storms. Again, lightning with this, a lot of lightning with these storms down in western Wisconsin, just east of Minneapolis. We'll see, as I highlight, these are the amount of lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes from that cell. 163 clouded ground lightning strikes. It's a lot of lightning to deal with. And we're going to continue to see a lot of that lightning continue to develop. Get rid of that precipitation rate per hour. That's a lot of precipitation per hour as well. And also, if I can rewind it a little further back, we'll go last 3 hours. We did have a tornado confirmed on the ground. We had 2 warnings actually pop up near Minneapolis. So here was I'll point this out. Again, we could see an isolated risk of a tornado tonight. That's something we have to just remember. But notice right here, so this is what a confirmed tornado looked like on radar, right pretty much southeast of Minneapolis, and that continued into Minnesota. There's no longer a warning on that. But again, it shows how quickly something can spin up like that. It's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Could see an isolated tornado from this, but I don't think anything widespread is what we're looking at. I think the primary threat's just going to be the wind. So here I'll put on the tracker and go back and answer a couple more questions here. So here I was bad line there. Let me redo that line and put more of our region in the area. So let's let's put the storm tracker back on just so you guys can keep an eye on and see where your region is. This is for the system that is currently producing rain. Again, I think convection is going to continue to pop pretty much south and west of that. So that's just because you're not in this cone does not mean you're not getting storms tonight. So here, I'll keep that tracker on and go back and answer some more Facebook questions. But you see, well, in Wausau at 1:41, Iron Mountain around 2:30, Mountain 3 a.m. I think 2 and 3 a.m. is going to be our hotspot hour. You could be waking up in the middle of the night until a lot of thunder and lightning. I know some people like to sleep through the thunder and lightning, and that's nice as well. But we could see some damaging winds with this as well. But the system pretty much wraps up 6, 7 a.m. It starts to wrap up a little bit earlier for areas in the Northwoods and west of the Fox cities. But then once it reaches the lakeshore, it wraps up, I'd say, around 7, 8 a.m. So let me go back and look at some more Facebook questions, all right? Andrea wants to know, how is Fond du Lac looking? So again, Fond du Lac is looking better than what we're dealing with in the Northwoods in the Fox cities. Again, I've noticed the trends on these models have been pointing to some more convection to the south. I'll be tracking that for the next hour or so, but I still think we get some spotty storms even down in Fond du Lac as well. All right. So Crystal wants to know about Stevens Point, and perfect. Stevens Point's right on the map, and that's pretty much just south of this initial zone of convection. It's going to depend on how much convection, to answer Crystal, pops up down here. It looks like, because you're pretty much just right on the fringe of this first round of convection, but again, I think some stuff will start to pop down here. So if we're going off that, Stevens Point, right around here, I'd say maybe, again, 2, 3 a.m. is probably a good timeline there as well. So let's see. Chances for Manitowoc. Mike wants to know chances for Manitowoc tonight. Again, I think Manitowoc's going to get in on some of these storms. It's just the recent model I talked about is the HER and the RPM, and both of them are kind of divided about what we're going to see tonight. The RPM's hinting at more storms to the north, and that is pretty much, I'd say, what the National Weather Service is pretty much hinting at in their watches and warnings. But the HER has hinted at some convection in the south. I think I had, if I go back into Futurecast, I did have one of those models up that did show the chance of rain to the south, even though that's not what, it's pretty much a divided take of what we're thinking in terms of rain. So here, let me pull up Futurecast. So this is the model that's hinting at more stuff to the south, I believe. And yeah, you see Sunday 3 a.m. So yeah, this is the model that's hinting at some more rain to the south. You see 3 a.m., a lot of scattered showers and storms, but notice like down in areas that aren't warned, you're not out, or not under the severe thunderstorm watch, you're not out of the woods yet. When we see 3 a.m., 3, 4 a.m., these showers and storms could easily make their way down to you as well. Primary threat will be heavy rain as well. And I'll take a couple more questions and then wrap up here. So let me take one last look at Facebook Live. All right, so lots of lightning, Green Bay chances. Donna wants to know the Green Bay chances of rain. Again, I think pretty much all of us under the severe thunderstorm watch are going to get rain. It just depends on how severe the threat is and where those severe storms set up. Let's see, what's the light green over Green Bay? So let me go back and pull up radar. Let's see, what's the light green over Green Bay? What we also like to call as meteorologists, there's no rain in Green Bay right now, but on radar sometimes we'll see a lot of fuzz from ground clutter pretty much get picked up by radar. So yeah, so this light green in Green Bay, we're not seeing rain from this. This is just pretty much all these, this is ground clutter. So we're not, notice how like this area is just completely still. This is just the radar in Green Bay pretty much picking up, could be anything from traffic to some birds, but we're dry right now across Green Bay. This is where we'll see the showers. Here, I'll take another look at Facebook here in a second and wrap up. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask in the next couple seconds here. Yeah, but again, going off with what I just said, that light green is just what the radar sometimes just picks up stuff on the ground. Could be traffic, could be windmills, could be a lot of stuff. A lot of the times, especially for areas in the south, it picks up birds overnight. And let's see. All right, I think I answered most of our questions. Let's see. Tina said if I were camping, I would be sleeping in my vehicle, packing up and heading towards. Yep, so tonight, if you were camping, definitely keep a car nearby. You never know with one of these cells. You don't want to take the risk. Just have your car nearby. Could see some of these gusts kick up, and you don't want to be outside in a tent if we do get a potential wind gust of 70 miles an hour. That will not be a good experience at all. All right, and I'll put up the storm timetable one more time, and then we'll just wrap it up here. So here is the storm schedule I have laid out. All right, so here is what I'm thinking. So I think we'll start to see some areas of rain west, I think around just after midnight. But the main threat of the rain is pretty much, I'd say, across the region through 2 or 3 a.m. That's where I think pretty much across our entire viewing area has to keep an eye on that timetable. Main threat with this system is going to be the high wind. We could see gusts of 70 miles an hour. Hail is possible in some areas, and then the National Weather Service has hinted at some hail could be up to 2 inches. That is pretty damaging as well. But the wind, I'm always concerned about the wind. A lot of tree limbs, especially if you're in the North Woods, and as some of you said, you're camping. With the high wind, you have to keep an eye on that because a lot of tree limbs could fly off the trees from that, and that's a dangerous situation you don't want to be a part of. Hail possible. Again, heavy downpours is going to be the main threat. I'm going to go get an energy drink, and I'll be up pretty much all night covering these systems. So feel free to reach out on Facebook. I'm Ryan Morris at WFRV. Feel free to reach out to our station account as well. And I'll be answering questions pretty much throughout the night. So feel free to reach out.